Today I'm going to be sharing with you the best GoPro settings for Instagram photos. If that's something you want to learn, let's get right into it. First thing I want you to know, and it's where everybody always kind of messes up, is they actually don't have the right equipment for the job. Yes, you probably have a GoPro if you're watching this video or you want to get one, but do not use the frame that comes with your GoPro to take photos for Instagram. Get yourself a vertical frame. This is from a company called GoPro. It was $24. The difference is it takes the photos in portrait mode, which puts them in optimal resolution and size and structure for Instagram. So again, don't use the horizontal or else you're gonna have to crop things in. You're not gonna get the optimal sized image. Get yourself a vertical frame. But that's not the only thing you need to do. Let's get right into the rest of this tutorial. I've broken this down into two categories. First, we have camera settings. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is you really have to take into consideration, are you a beginner or are you somebody who really knows what they're doing? Now, I'm gonna urge you to stick with the GoPro auto settings. You can do a lot with GoPro settings. They really bring out the colors. It is really good for contrasting in the colors. It just makes pictures pretty effortless and you can't really mess it up. I tend to think I'm pretty good with GoPro photography. You can check out my Instagram and you can see I do a lot. I still 99% of the time like to keep it on auto just for ease of use. I don't like to mess with things more than I have to. But in those cases where I really want to take like a banging ass, really badass photo, then is what you can get into using Pro Tunes and mess with the ISOs and really kind of get into, really being able to tweak your photo in post-production, which is using things like Lightroom. There's a few other photo editors, Photoshop, Lightroom. If you just had one of those two, I think you'd be fine. But if you're into and you consider yourself a really more experienced photographer, that is the only indicator in which I would turn off the auto settings and go for Pro Tune and shoot in RAW so you can really mess with the color features and things of that nature. Continuing with the settings, the best way and the best feature that I've ever seen, and GoPro has it is the time-lapse feature. Now, if you're shooting pictures and you want to ensure that you always get the shot, and that's what this is all about, is ensuring that you always get a usable photo that you can post to your Instagram. Using the time-lapse feature ensures that you do just that. I personally always use the time-lapse feature, and I use it in the half second, and I shoot in wide. Now, there's different ratios you can shoot in wide, super wide, linear. I like to stick with wide because it lets GoPro kind of bring in the background. It brings in that little bit of a fisheye effect, and it kind of creates that GoPro picture that really does create a ton of engagement on Instagram. So again, if you're new to GoPros, you're just trying to get your feet wet, stick with the time-lapse feature to ensure that you're going to get a wide. And I like to do it at the half a second interval. You can change half second, 1 second, all the way up to 5 seconds, I believe. But if you do it at the half to 1 second, what it means is it's taking a photo every half a second. So you're getting 2 photos every second, or if you do the 1 second, you're getting 1 photo every second. Now, if you're in the middle of something like you're holding your GoPro out, you're trying to get a good selfie, or you're taking a good POV, this ensures that you never miss the shot. Yes, it does create a lot of images when you go back into your computer later. You have to delete a lot, but who cares? Always make sure you get the shot because that's what this is about. So I highly recommend you use the time-lapse feature, half second wide, for the best Instagram photos. Is the burst photo setting, which actually takes up to, I believe, 30 photos per one shot. So you hit it, it gives a little countdown, and then it takes a burst of 30 photos. This works, but in my opinion, whether or not to use the time-lapse or burst, I would say suggest just going with the time-lapse because, again, you're going to get just as many photos doing the time-lapse and a better opportunity to get the shot that you want by using the time-lapse. So again, this is a personal preference. You may like burst photos. You may be a single photo guy and want to just hold your camera and go like this or like this. That's up to you as well. But in my opinion, somebody who's taken hundreds of GoPro photos and posted them to my Instagram, using the time-lapse feature ensures that you will always get the shots. Okay, so the next part we have is editing settings. What are the best editing settings, as in you're using something like Lightroom or a photo editing software to ensure you get the proper dimensions for Instagram. So if you're taking just to recap, you're taking a photo, you're using it in portrait mode, so it's shooting vertically, not horizontally like this, you're going to have the optimal canvas to work with. When you're in your editing settings, if you're shooting for Instagram feed, meaning you want to put it on your actual profile and you want to write a caption, a little cool caption, use some GoPro hashtags, highly recommend it. Boom. use the 4:5 setting, okay? 4:5, it takes up the biggest space on the Instagram feed. You don't really want to go with square unless you absolutely have to. Use the 4:5, which the ratio on the 4:5 is actually 1080 wide, 1320 tall. And if you're using an app called Lightroom, which you should see me using on this screen, they make it easy. They have a 4:5 setting. You just click it, you move the photo around, and you ensure that it is in the ratio in which you like, which is 4:5, and it's cropped in the squares as you see on the screen. Now, if you're shooting pictures or you want to just do some extra stuff for your Instagram stories, that is a little different dimension. That is actually 9:16 ratio, which is 1080 wide by 1920 tall. And again, if you're using Lightroom to edit your photos, you can crop it. There's an actual setting for 9:16. You can just click it and then fit it in where you want, how you like it, for the rule of thirds and things, and make it look good. And these are the optimal settings for Instagram. So that way you make sure that when you're taking an image, it's in portrait mode. You know beforehand, okay, I'm going to use this for Instagram story or Instagram feed. And boom, you take your shots using the time-lapse feature. You take a bunch of cool photos. Now you know exactly what settings you need and how you need to edit these to make sure they take up and they're the proper ratios for Instagram. If you enjoyed these tips and you're actually going to utilize these and go out and start taking some pictures and use these settings for your Instagram, go ahead and drop me a comment and say, yes, Ron, I'm going to use this. Thank you. It's always good to hear from you guys. At least I know that my work is reaching actual people who are going to implement. Action takers like yourself are going to go out and make their Instagrams dope by using their GoPro. So yeah, also I have an amazing 22-minute tutorial video all about photos and GoPro photos for Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and put it up here and I'll also link it in the cards. And if you want to know all these settings and the mounts that I use for my personal use and what I do for my Instagram with my GoPro, I've gone ahead and put together a PDF in the description as well. That's it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys in the next video.